The city was shrouded in a thick, impenetrable fog. It clung to the cobbled streets and swirled around the flickering gas lamps. Within the imposing walls of the Central Archives, a crime occurred, a crime of audacious simplicity. The key piece of evidence in the notorious Blakemore forgery case had vanished. It was gone without a trace. The vault, considered impregnable, offered no clues. The silence within its steel confines was deafening. The police were utterly perplexed. The disappearance sent ripples of unease through the highest echelons of the legal system. Justice itself seemed to hang precariously in the balance. The missing item was a small, unassuming diary, yet its contents were explosive. It held the meticulous records of Mr. Silas Blakemore's illicit dealings, detailing names, dates, and sums of money. Enough to incriminate some of the city's most influential figures. Its absence was a devastating blow to the prosecution. Without this diary, their case against Blakemore would crumble. The man, a known mastermind of financial fraud, might soon walk free. A palpable sense of dread began to permeate the city. The public whispered in hushed tones, fearing the powerful were indeed above the law. The scene of the crime was a study in contradictions. The vault was a masterpiece of security engineering, multiple locks, reinforced steel, and round-the-clock surveillance. Yet the diary was gone. There were no signs of forced entry. No alarms had blared their urgent warning. It was as if a ghost had slipped through the impenetrable barriers. The guards on duty that fateful night swore they had seen nothing. They had heard nothing. They stood bewildered, their faces pale with a mixture of fear and disbelief. The perfection of the theft was its most unsettling aspect. Whispers and wild theories soon echoed through the hallowed halls of Scotland Yard. Was it an inside job, orchestrated by someone with intimate knowledge of the vault's defenses? Or was it the work of a phantom, a master thief beyond compare? The pressure on the authorities intensified with each passing hour. The newspapers, hungry for a scandal, splashed sensational headlines across their front pages. The Nikonj evidence, as the press dramatically dubbed the case, became a symbol of a justice system teetering on the brink. The city waited, its breath held, for someone to unravel this impossible mystery. Into this maelstrom of confusion stepped Inspector Alistair Grimshaw. He was a man of quiet intensity, and his reputation for solving the most baffling of cases preceded him. He was not a man for grand pronouncements. Instead, he relied on meticulous observation and unyielding logic. He arrived at the Central Archives, his keen grey eyes taking in every minute detail. He moved with a deliberate calmness that contrasted sharply with the surrounding panic. He absorbed the atmosphere, the tension, the unspoken fears. He knew this was no ordinary theft. Inspector Grimshaw began his examination. He was unlike his more boisterous colleagues. He listened patiently to the stammering accounts of the guards. He studied the vault's mechanisms with focused attention. He noted the faintest scratch on the polished floor. He observed the subtle tremor in the chief archivist's hand. He sensed a current of deception running beneath the surface of official statements. Something was not right. The narrative presented to him felt incomplete, carefully curated. He knew the truth often lay hidden in the smallest, most overlooked anachronisms. His initial survey of the vault itself yielded precious little. The room was almost sterile in its neatness. Too neat, perhaps. It was as if someone had meticulously cleaned up after themselves. There were no stray fingerprints, no dropped threads, no telltale signs of a struggle or a hurried exit. Grimshaw pondered the possibilities. Could the thief have possessed an almost supernatural ability to avoid leaving any trace? Or was the absence of evidence in itself a clue? He began to suspect a far more complex game was afoot. He turned his attention to the human element. Who had the access codes? Who knew the guard schedules? Who possessed the technical skill to bypass such advanced security? The list of individuals with such comprehensive knowledge was disturbingly short. Each name on that list presented a new avenue of inquiry, a new potential suspect. Inspector Grimshaw felt the familiar intellectual challenge stir within him. The case of the Nikonj evidence would demand all his deductive prowess. The game, as he often thought, had truly begun. Inspector Grimshaw's investigation began to peel back layers of carefully constructed deceit. he uncovered a simmering animosity between two senior archivists, Mr. Peterson and Miss Albright. Peterson, it was whispered, had significant gambling debts. Miss Albright, conversely, had recently come into a small, unexplained inheritance. Grimshaw observed them from a distance. He noted their forced pleasantries. He detected the undercurrent of resentment in their interactions. He knew personal vendettas could often cloud judgment and lead to desperate actions. A seemingly obvious clue emerged. A known associate of Silas Blakemore, a low-level informant named Fingers Malone, was reported loitering near the archives a day before the theft. This felt too convenient for Grimshaw. Blakemore was a meticulous planner, not one for such clumsy oversights. The inspector suspected this was a deliberate red herring, a piece of bait designed to lead the investigation down a fruitless path. He instructed his men to follow up, but his own focus remained elsewhere, searching for subtler, more significant inconsistencies. A curious subplot began to surface. The lead prosecutor in the Blakemore case, a highly respected barrister named Sir Charles Wyndham, was exhibiting unusual signs of stress. He seemed overly eager for updates, yet visibly uncomfortable when questioned directly by Grimshaw. Sir Charles had a reputation for being unflappable. His current agitation was out of character. Grimshaw learned through discreet inquiries that Sir Charles had recently suffered significant personal financial losses. The pressure to secure a conviction against Blakemore was immense, perhaps even overwhelming for the barrister. During a meticulous re-examination of the corridor leading to the vault, Grimshaw discovered a tiny, almost invisible scuff mark on the ornate skirting board. It was low to the ground, easily missed. It suggested something heavy, perhaps a small case, had been awkwardly maneuvered, not carried with ease. This small detail contradicted the prevailing theory of a phantom thief. It hinted at a more tangible, perhaps even desperate human intervention. The inspector filed this observation away, a small piece in a rapidly forming puzzle. Inspector Grimshaw requested the complete security logs for the entire week preceding the theft. He meticulously reviewed every entry, every timestamp. He noticed a brief, almost imperceptible power surge recorded 2 nights before the diary vanished. It had been dismissed by the archive's technicians as a minor electrical fault, but Grimshaw's instincts told him otherwise. He delved into the building's complex schematics. He discovered a secondary, almost forgotten magnetic locking system on the vault door, a system that would be momentarily disabled by such a power surge. The power surge was no accident. It had been deliberately triggered, a sophisticated bypass. This secondary system was known only to a handful of senior personnel. Grimshaw confronted Sir Charles Wyndham, the prosecutor. Under the inspector's calm but relentless questioning, Sir Charles's composure finally shattered. He confessed. He had orchestrated the disappearance of the diary. He feared Blakemore's allies would stop at nothing to retrieve it, even resorting to violence against him or his family. He saw no other way. But the most astonishing twist was yet to unfold. Sir Charles had not destroyed the Nikonji evidence. He had not passed it to Blakemore. He had hidden it. He intended to use its existence as leverage against Blakemore if he was acquitted, or perhaps leverage to secure a more lenient sentence if his own desperate actions came to light. He revealed its hiding place. It was not in some distant secret location. It was concealed within the very heart of the justice system he was sworn to uphold. The infamous diary was recovered. It was found nestled within a hollowed-out volume of legal statutes in Sir Charles Wyndham's private chambers at the Old Bailey. With the evidence restored, Silas Blakemore's conviction was swiftly secured. Sir Charles, his career and reputation in ruins, faced the consequences of his ill-judged actions. Inspector Grimshaw, his task complete, quietly departed, leaving the city to once again believe that truth, however obscured, would eventually prevail. The case of the Nikonj evidence was closed.